Hello and welcome to Knowledge by Nature. In today's video, I am really excited to be showing you something that Dimensions offers, which is their subscription service. Now, if you've been following me for very long, you are aware that we are big Dimensions fans, and we have been using Singapore Math for 5 years now. Singapore Math did provide me with a subscription service. I have bought all the textbooks, all of that myself, but they did provide the subscription service, and I'm really excited to show that to you because, in all honesty, this subscription service kind of saved the beginning of our year. That's kind of a big statement, but it honestly, we are on schedule to finish our complete Dimensions Math 4A and 4B 3 days after our official school year. That's every single lesson, and that is using lessons multiple days. So that is doing practices multiple days, and that is also doing just a few lessons multiple days because we needed the extra practice. I don't know about you, but that's a pretty big deal to say that you have completed your math curriculum in the amount of days that you needed to. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know that very many public schools do every single lesson and get the whole thing done at the end of the year. And honestly, it is the subscription service that allowed that to happen. Without that, there's no way that I would have been able to stay on track, which is my first huge pro for the subscription service. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to show it to you. We're going to go through it, and I'm going to talk about pros and cons and all of that kind of stuff. But I just want you to know that 1, we've used Singapore Math for 5 years. 2, we're huge fans of Dimensions Math. 3, I'm going to tell you why I think you should buy this program and some of the things that I actually wasn't crazy about with this program. So nothing's perfect. Even Dimensions itself is not perfect. We move it and make it work for us. And the same thing I think goes with any curriculum that you have. But let's go ahead and jump over here to the screen and we'll kind of walk along this together. All right, now in a minute, I'm actually just gonna do it to where it's my computer screen so you're not looking through my lens in this fashion. But I did want to show a few things to you first before we ever get started. So you can come here to Dimensions Math at home and see the little video subscription here. They have a little preview that you can do. They have a little, a little 53-minute video here that you can watch, and then it talks about the program details a little bit. Now, we see here that Dimensions Math is available for grades 1 through 6. The cost is $85 per student for an entire grade of videos. That is covering A and B of the textbooks and workbook. The access will last for 1 year from the date of purchase. Now, you cannot buy A and B individually. So as far as, let's kind of start ticking some pros and cons here. Con is if you are not in your year where maybe you are started at B for whatever reason, which a lot of times that can happen because maybe this is on a different level than what you came from, that would be a con because you would be buying 1 year and maybe you only need a B. In that instance, it's probably not very cost effective for you unless you just can't teach yourself. And in that case, it could be totally worth it, which brings me back to the cost of $85 per student. $85 is a pretty hefty price tag, but there's a few things I want you to consider when we're taking this $85 into account. First, you actually do not have to purchase a teacher's guide. You don't need a teacher's guide. You don't need a home instructor's guide. If you buy the subscription service, all you really need is the textbook and the workbook. And the teacher on the video is going to show you everything that you need. So you only need these two, so you wouldn't have the cost of getting a teacher's guide or a home instructor's guide for A and B. Now, I only have B with me right now because that's just easier than bringing all of them up here. But for us, we do A and B in one grade, and so the subscription service works pretty good for us. Now, another thing to consider with this cost is, what if you have a life-changing event that doesn't allow you to teach? What if you have a baby? What if you buy a house or move and you're not able to be the teacher for a time of your homeschool? What if there is an illness in your family? What if there is just something else that keeps you from teaching a class and teaching the lessons? This is well worth its $85, and that is where it came in for us. I would have paid the $85 to have this for 4th grade because I had one of those extenuating circumstances where I couldn't be the one that taught math every single day. But because this did, we are on track to finish our entire math curriculum, every single lesson, 3 days after our days of 4th grade. And I just think that is incredible. And I know it is this right here. There's no other way we would have been able to accomplish that this year without it. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's not going to work very good if you are mid-level, But yes, it is a lifesaver when you can't be the one to teach, but you need math to continue going for you, okay? So that is one of the things is it's $85 per student. So unless you had 2 students in the exact same level, you would have to buy different levels for whatever grades you're in. But again, you don't have to have a teacher's guide. You do not have to have this. If you are planning to solely use the subscription service, this is unnecessary. But I personally would want one of these because 1, grading makes grading really, really easy. 2, sometimes the way that they explain it doesn't come away as clear, and so we try this. However, there have been times that this didn't come across very clear, but that did. And so it's really a toss-up on that. But for me personally, I would continue to want a teacher's guide because most of the time I want to be the teacher, but this was a godsend for continuing to do our math when I really could not be the teacher most of the time at the beginning of the year. Now, back to this, it says again that you must have your textbook and workbook to use along. So these 2 right here doesn't say anything about a test. If you don't want to use the test, don't spend the money to get the test. These are all you need to do the program with the subscription service, okay? It doesn't replace the teacher's guide, which offers background information, answer keys, and extra activities. So yes, there's a lot of activities in here for grading and different things. I love having this. Again, I want to teach it most of the time, but maybe you don't. Maybe you do not like teaching. Maybe it's like, maybe your student doesn't like, maybe you have, you know what, that's another good point, is that maybe sometimes you kind of have a head-to-head with you and your student during math, and maybe it is affecting that relationship. Okay, well, guess what? They still need to do math, right? Most of you would probably agree, yes, if you're watching this, they need to do math. But maybe you don't want to like kill that relationship and you want to keep that relationship a little bit better. That $85 would be priceless in that case of if it helps that break away a little bit so they're not blaming mom or they're not blaming the teacher, they can blame subscription service, and then you know what, you're just grading it. So that's another point to look at. All right, let's go down here. Like I said, grades 1 through 6 is what is available. And this is all for your Dimensions math programs, and we're going to be looking at grade 4. So when we click in here to grade 4, it is going to come up here with this option to subscribe. It shows you the things that you need to have. Let's zoom in a little bit. Shows you the things that you need to have, and then these are your optional sections. You either need a home instructor's guide or a teacher's guide for 4A or 4B if you so choose, all right? But you don't have to have these, and that would save you some money. You can look inside and you can click right here, which is to watch videos. Now, let's say I'm not giving you enough information here. What's awesome is that Dimensions Math gives the entire chapter 1 of 4A, which again, I don't have 4A with me, 4B, But you can go and you can watch these and you can get a good idea of, hey, is this going to work for you? Because I'm not going to show you every single thing today, but you can go in there and you can watch how they do the chapter opener, how she does the think and learn, how she does the do, the workbook, and then we go to lesson 2. It's free, okay? You don't have to pay for this. You can just go try it or watch it and see what you think about it. So that is actually what I did. I went on here and I tried it and I loved it. So I reached out to Dimensions Math and I asked, hey, would you provide this to me? I'll do a review. And they accepted, and I was super excited about that because I think I have, like, you should look at the playlist. I'll put it right here. There's probably like 25 something videos on Dimensions Math and Singapore Math. So I was really, really happy that they agreed to work with me because we do love them. And I tried this and I loved it, and so I'm very happy to show you guys about it too. Now, I'm going to actually pop over to my screen now, and we're going to start looking at this a little bit closer. But you can go to this section right here and watch all of this for free, but we are going to look at a little bit of 4B. All right, for the sake of this video, we are going to go to Chapter 12, Lesson 2. And you can see here is the matching textbook that we're working with. And then I'm going to scroll up here to Chapter 12, Lesson 2, Think and Learn. So you can see this is our Think section right here. I'm going to go ahead and click the video of to watch. You can see this is 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Now let's quickly jump back really quickly. Sorry. Again, here is one of those annoyances. I went back and now I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to search for my Chapter 12 again and find what I'm needing. So let's go down here again at Chapter 12. So this, before I actually click into it, let's look. Here is Chapter 12, Lesson 2, Think and Learn, 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Chapter 12, Lesson 2, Section Do, 4 minutes and 53 seconds. And then Chapter 12, Lesson 2, the workbook, 8 minutes and 28 seconds. Now, I will say that this is going to have some pause time where you're going to pause the video and they're going to do some work. But let's go ahead and jump over here to the Think and Learn section and your video will pop up. Okay, she is going to start speaking in just a moment. All right, for some reason, it doesn't want to let me capture these videos. So that I can show you just the screen. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to have to show you like this. So what I have done is I have our textbook out and I'm going to come over here and find the appropriate lesson on the video. All right, so I have 4B, Chapter 12, Lesson 2, Think and Learn pulled up here. I'm going to go ahead and click Watch and a new screen will pop up. Once that happens, I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen. You can also do a double check right here to make sure that the correct video is pulling up. Now she is going to start where she is zoomed in on this Think section. Most of the time, I think all of the time actually, she is going to have them cover up this Learn section so that they aren't seeing all of these things first. They truly want them to look at it and think about the question first. And so you can see that here in the video where she is only looking at the think problem. So she's going to talk about all of this, which is all matching up with what your student has. And then she is going to prompt them to go to the Learn section here, which is the next part. And so this is where they are learning how they would answer that question of expressing the height of each animal in meters. So she's walking them through all of that, and I will go ahead and unmute her for a moment.
Is 1 full meter and 3/10 of a meter. So how would we write that in decimal form? Well, we can think of it as a mixed number first. So we have 1 and 3/10, which is equal to 1 and 3/10. Then when we write that in decimal form, we put our 1 in the ones place and our 3/10 in the tenths place and separate our whole numbers in our tenths with that decimal point.
So she will walk them through everything on here, pointing out different ways of how they could use their place values to understand this question. She's going to continue to go all the way to the bottom of this page where she's going to then ask them, what is your answer compared to what you thought it might be. And so she just has them think about that. Now at the end of this video, you see that it has popped up that that's done with. We're gonna go back, and this is where we have that whole scroll to the bottom. And I honestly think there has got to be a better way for this. I really thought there used to be like a next button or something like that, but that is not popping up right now. So we're going to go to lesson 2, the do section, because when we look at our workbook here, this was the think and the learn. Here was all the learn section. And when we come to the next page, you can see do. Let's pop up this video. Well, I actually just discovered a little problem with that one. For whatever reason, when you went to the do section, it started with B. We used this for the majority of 4A, and I don't recall that happening before. So I want to go ahead and bring that to your attention because they did not start with number 1 and 2A. They actually just began the video at 2B. So in order to give you a little representation of what it should have been, I'm going to jump to lesson 3 where we are talking about the hundredths. I'm going to skip the think and the learn section, and I'm just going to come to the do section. So this is what we should be seeing for chapter 12, lesson 3. So let me scroll up here. Okay, chapter 12, lesson 3, do. And I did scroll down to see if it was just for some reason out of order, and I didn't see it. That's very interesting that I happened to run onto that in this video. Here we go with do on lesson 3. I'm going to go ahead and make this full screen, and we should be seeing this image when it pops up.
Let's look now at some practice problems in the do.
Okay, this is correct. They should be starting with this page right here, and you can see that we have a match there. It should start at number 1. For some reason, the second page of that one did not go through. So let's watch this for a short time so you can see how she does a do section really quickly.
74. We'll work through number 1 together. Part A. How many hundredths of a meter are in 1/10 of a meter? So notice how by my using place value language, you get that visual of fractions. So 1/100th of a meter, how many hundredths are in 1/10? So here's our visual here. Here we have 1/10 of a meter that's then been divided into 10 equal-sized pieces. So if I had the whole meter, I would have 10 of these tenths within that. So we took one of those tenths and divided it into 10 equal pieces. So that represents 1/100th of the meter. So how many hundredths of a meter are in 1/10 of a meter? Well, there are 10 hundredths of a meter within 1/10 of a meter. So there are 10. Part B. What's the sum of 7/100ths meter and 3?
All right, so she will continue to work through this page here. At some point, she will tell them to go ahead and start doing this themselves, and then they pause it, and I think she kind of goes through it sometimes. Let's see, it looks like she's still working on it at this point. She's working on A, B, and C, so we're still down here on this number 1. Here she has went on to number 2. She's working out number 2, showing them how to do it. And then the only thing here, if your student isn't getting it and you don't have the teacher's manual and you're not super great at math, then that could be a difficulty of trying to figure out how to explain it to them if you don't have the teacher's manual. Another con for not having a teacher's manual is you're not going to be able to quickly grade. You're going to have to go through and you're going to have to find all of the answers yourself. Now she will eventually tell them to go ahead and finish things up here.
We're going to use this to help us with subtraction. So if I have 1/10 and I want to take 5/100ths away from that, what I can do is I can look at this a couple of ways. I can think, how many hundredths do I need to add to 5/100ths to get 1/10? Or we can look at this as being 10 hundredths minus 5/100ths. So this 0 on the end does not change the value of this because 10/100ths is the same as 1/10. Complete part B.
So there you heard her say, she's explaining how to do it and then tells them to complete it. And so they would need to pause the video there and complete it. And she will prompt them many times while they're doing all of this to complete something, and that is where they would need to pause it.
Number 7, a ribbon is 35 centimeters long. Express the length of the ribbon in meters as a decimal.
Now, every single one of these, she is not going to work out for them, and that is where they have to make sure that they do know how to do it to be able to get the answer. Now, at the end of this video, we're going to be finished with that, and we will go on to the workbook where you see here, exercise 3, page 56, all of these questions there, and then at the very bottom, that prompts you to go to the workbook. So let's go ahead and go to our workbook video where I'm going to, once again, scroll all the way down until I can find chapter 12. I'm going with lesson 3, and now we are working with the workbook. Here is the workbook. Looks slightly different than the textbook.
Exercise 3 starts from your workbook on page 56. We'll look at the basic solver problems together first. Number 1, complete the table. So here we can see the first row has been done for us. So we have a visual of one whole that's been divided into 100 equal parts. One of those parts is shaded, so that part represents 100th of the whole. In fraction form, we can write that as 100th, and in decimal form, we can write it as 0.01, and we can also read that as 100th.
So she continues to teach to them, and we're going through, and she's going to do a few of these together, and then she says, all right, you go ahead and you finish it up. So she does this one, and then it is their responsibility to do the next one. You can see the screen kind of blacked out there. That's because she's now moving on to number 2, where she's going to talk about that a little bit.
Then you could color in 28, or you could look at this as being 2/10ths and 8/100ths. So if I was doing that, I know that my 2/10ths would be, this would be 1/10. This next column would be 2/10ths, and then I need to shade in 8 more. And if I counted them individually, I would see that there are 28 hundredths that have been shaded in. Shade in the squares to show 92 hundredths.
So you can see that she is still doing a little bit of teaching here while she's going through the workbook, and now she's going on to the practice section. So there are different sections to the workbook as far as basic, practice, and then sometimes a challenge. This lesson actually didn't have a challenge, neither does the next one, it doesn't look like, but they really do have challenges. Let's see here. There's one at the very bottom, so you can see that there's different things that you do. Here, let's go ahead and quickly peruse the video where she's still continuing to do one. So she'll give one as an example, have them do the other one, and this is where you'll have to go back and check their work to see if everything was correct. If we continue to go through the videos, she's walking them through all of the questions in the workbook, telling them when to stop and do it. And then you can just decide how much you assign on what days. Do they do the textbook and the workbook on all of the days? Or would it be better if they just maybe did the textbook one day and the workbook the other day? That's completely up to you. These videos just allow you to do whatever works best for you. It has it all in there. Now, I'm really surprised by the little hiccup that we saw with the missing textbook there, but that happens. So if it did, I would definitely reach out to Dimensions, let them know that that has happened. And then again, if you don't have a teacher's guide, you are going to have to work out all those questions yourself to be able to grade those. That is one of my biggest things for having the teacher's guide, even if you are planning to not teach one lesson out of it, is how easy it would make it for grading. Now, you could just get the home instructor's guide instead of the teacher's guide, which still has the answers, but it's a lot cheaper. So that is an option also if you want to be able to grade quickly, but you don't want the expense or the bigger size book. So that's just a few options. I hope that this has been helpful. like I said, for this year, this was an absolute lifesaver for us having the subscription service. We would have been so far behind on math if we did not have that as an option. Now, am I going to use it every single year? No. I prefer to teach to her. She prefers me to teach to her. And so while we are in Dimensions, which unfortunately is not that much longer because we'll be getting out of the grades for it, but I will probably continue to teach her unless something life happens and I need this subscription service. And so that is the biggest thing. If life is crazy, you have way too much going on, save yourself some heartache and get this subscription service. It is well worth the money. I would have 100% bought this myself this year had they not been so generous to provide it to us for this year. But like I said, hopefully next year our life will be a little bit calmer and I won't have the need for it. But people have babies, people buy houses, people move, people have life events that make it really difficult to keep math going. Sometimes people just don't like to teach math. Maybe there is a bumping of heads in the math department. Well, you know what? If someone else is teaching that can be a huge help. Math gets done. It's the program that you want to use. Maybe you like this method. You want your child to learn this method, but you don't feel comfortable doing it or you don't like the thought of doing it. This is the subscription service. Get it. It'll make your life so much easier. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, give me a thumbs up if you did. Consider hitting that subscribe button and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.